Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the market close. Well, we got ourselves a red Wednesday on our hands. Do camels come in red? Because we got a red hump day. Red hump day for sure. Oh boy. And I don't know about where you guys are, but I'll tell you right now, it's darn gone hot here. It's very hot. Last I looked, our humididex was sitting around 35, expected to go up to 37. Probably by the time the show ends, it'll be 37. It'll feel like 37 outside. So definitely gonna be a hot day. We of course also had the Bank of Canada decision today. So no surprise. The rate did not change. So everything is a tickety boo going as planned. No more cuts for now. I do still believe we will see some cuts later in the year, but for now, as these tariffs remain very uncertain, and well, we know they're uncertain. Not only are they uncertain, in some cases they're uncertain and doubling. So of course, Trump did go through and sent the paperwork to us in regards to that steel and aluminum tariff going from 25 to 50%. That is absolutely not good. Carney has replied about what's going on with that. We also got, oh boy, there's so much stuff that's going on this week. The premiers, they all met with Carney on Monday, and it's really starting to look like we might get a pipeline out of this. So now, mind you, it probably will take them about 2 years to get it going, but the old system, it probably would have taken them 20 years to get it going. So it could be good. It could be interesting. So we got all of that. We got the market. We got the bell. There's a lot. So let's not delay. Let's jump in and see how that market is. Let's see how it's looking. All right, TSX, it is in the red, down 0.28%. But as you guys can notice from looking at these candles, it plunged mostly in the first half of the day, and there has been a little bit of a recovery in the afternoon. So let's see where that goes tomorrow. Now for the month, we're still above the blue line. So we are still in green territory for June. So let's I'm hoping we can stay there. But at the same time, I do like a good buy the dip opportunity. I've been certainly taking advantage of some of them for the challenge, for the 0 to 100K TFSA challenge. So I would be okay if we did like maybe, let's go down this week. We'll come back. For next week. That's what I'd like to see, but the market's going to do what the market does. So we'll see what's going on. Now, speaking of going down, if we go down south of the border, the TSX is slightly to the green, up 0.11 on the day so far. Same idea with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ a little bit stronger on the green, 0.38. Now the Dow Jones is just a little bit in the red, 0.08. Russell's 0.30. But you will notice with all of these, everybody's in a green month position. So we'll keep that. We'll keep it going for now. I love it. Looking at commodities, gold is having a good day. It is up 0.58%. So you gotta love that. Silver's down a tiny bit, but not much, 0.08. So I'd call it more of a flat day. WTI down 0.69. Bitcoin's down, but Ethereum is up. So what's going on there? We'll take a look. We'll take a look at the heat maps. Here. Let's pull up Canada. And as you can see, we got a good amount of red on the board. Quite a bit. TD down 0.59. Enbridge down 0.67. CNQ down a full 2.14. Imperial Oil. Synovus. Yeah, we got a lot down. Nutrien, though, is up a tiny bit. Not much, but a tiny bit. Railroads mostly flat. What can I say? Yeah, here's a good flat one for you. BCE. They're at 0.00. So what can I say? Looking at the United States, same idea, a lot of red, but we do have a few highlights here. Like we got Broadcom up 1.66, Meta having a good day, 2.68, Netflix not too shabby, 1.89, Eli Lilly doing good. Now on the downside, of course, we got, Berkshire Hathaway. They're down a little bit. Look at that, down 1.16. And Tesla, almost 3%. Now, Elon, now that he's broken ways with Doge, he's been saying a few unflattering things about Trump's big, beautiful bill. So look for Trump to get angry with him, probably. Maybe. It's hard to say. He still has so much money that Trump probably, might keep his mouth shut when it comes to it. But that's going to be I think that's going to be a story that's going to play out over the next week. So we'll have to see how that goes. Going over to the crypto, we got Bitcoin down 1%, Ethereum up 0.47%. On the most part, though, it is a red day for crypto. And as you guys know, there's so many crypto coins out there. There's like 15,000 or more of those altcoins. I like to call them crap coins, but it's a red day. Let's just grab some random green one that I've never heard of before. All right, here we go. AME chain. No idea what this is. The first thing that popped into my head, maybe it is related to an anime. I don't know. I really honestly don't know at all. But it's worth 0.09 of a penny, not worth very much. These guys are risky, guys. They're super, super risky. Stay out of them unless you really, really know what they're doing and you've got some confidence in them. There's a lot of money to be made in crypto, but stick to the big coins. Stick to your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your Solana, and yes, even the Dogecoin. Much safer than some of those crap coins. All right, guys, it's time to hit the chat. Now, very first thing I'm going to hit, I saw it. We got a super sticker coming in from Paul. So that means Paul is our first GOAT of the day. Gotta love it. Good job, Paul. You absolutely rock. All right, now, our first commenter of the day was Ricardo. Good afternoon. Sitting here waiting. It's 1:48 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you. The chart reading on ESP, it seems to have paid off the bounce dip. Yes. We've been looking at that ESP. So I'm glad it's worked out. And that's the thing. Sometimes you can see what's going to happen just from the shapes that are developing on the charts, but it doesn't always follow logic, unfortunately, because it's the market. The market's based on human psychology, and sometimes humans do crazy things. But in this case here, I'm glad it went your way. Stan says, "Good day, all." And Paul's in the house with good afternoon. Of course, he was also in the house with a super sticker. Larry says, Tesla short finally going somewhere. Tesla bad numbers in China, just as I suspected. Nice. Yeah, I remember you mentioning you were planning to short Tesla. So those are the type of numbers you're looking for. So yeah, when you're shorting a stock, you are looking for that stock to fail. That's what you're betting on them failing. And Tesla not having a good day. We saw that when we're looking at the heat map. Paul says, let's see, STRK and STRF are green stocks with each about 7.5% of portfolio. NVDA is green, but only 0.28% of the portfolio. Yes. So these are some of Paul's play on strategy. So these, it's kind of interesting. The dance Paul has going is absolutely cool. It is cool, and it has done well. He has done very, very well, playing everything from strategy to some of these strategy variations to Tesla and Nvidia. It's been doing really, really well for him. All right, we got Max in the house with a hey all. Nice. We keep going, says Ricardo. All right. I imagine that's with the ESP. Um, let's see. Paul says the only choice for 0.99 super chat was poop emoji. Really? You see, I don't actually. I have to look. I actually have to look at a copy of YouTube to see. Okay, yep. I was looking at a copy of YouTube over there. In my StreamYard, where I sort of my interface, it does not show me what the emoji is, but it's the poop. It is the poop. That's fine. That's fine. Sometimes I can be a little, nope, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I mean. Ricardo, the odds for cuts in the US just vanished last week. Yes, yes. As far as Papa Powell is concerned down in the US, the economy is just too strong. Whereas, I mean, the big thing in Canada, TIF is basically looking and saying, we just can't get a forward reading. We cannot, so they can't get a forward guidance, and that's kind of keeping them from cutting any further. Paul says the chat has crowns beside the names. Yes. If you look up at the top, Paul, there should be, I'm just trying to see if I can find it over here. There should be a little thing that has a crown, and it has a number of XP that you have. So XP, basically, it's experience points. You gain experience in the chat for doing things. So, for example, when you make a comment, I believe a comment will give you about. I'm just trying to get this thing. It's not working for me over here. Let's see. I want to see. All right, here we go. Yeah, so when you make a comment, you get experience points. So I think you get 25 points for a comment. And super chats are supposed to give you some as well. So I'm not sure. Right now I'm looking. I see Ricardo up at the top with 100 XP, followed by a tie between Larry and you. You and Larry are tied. You both have 75 experience points. But yeah, the more you communicate, or the more you talk in chat, the more you get. What does it do? Honestly, it's just bragging rights more than anything else. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun, especially for people who are active. If you're regularly active, it's kind of fun to sort of, you can sort of sit back at the end of the day and say, look who was the most active. It was me. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I like it. I like it. Let's see. Rory says Paul. Let's see. Ricardo says non-farm payroll will bring the market down Friday. Oh, yes. We get jobs numbers, both sides of the border coming on Friday. That could be an interesting day. In Canada, I'm expecting unemployment to go up. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a little bit of that in the United States as well, because you got to look at a lot of these companies that, that process, some of the Canadian imports. There might be some layoffs there. So we'll see. We'll see how it's going to look, but I am certainly looking interesting. Let's see. Rory says Questrade has no more for me. Moving money to the bank for now. All right, fair enough. Oh, Jordan is in the house with a hello, Candace. Hope you're well. Good to see you, Jordan. Always good to see you. Mario says, good afternoon, everyone. Let's see. There will be no cuts. I don't know when nobody believes him. Oh, guys, I just realized I've totally lost track of the time. We have about 40 seconds to the bell. So if you are sensitive to noise, or you got some earbuds on, it's going to get loud for a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit as I ring the bell. So I just like to let people know that way there. You can turn the volume down for a second or pull out the earbuds. Nobody needs unnecessary noise if if you can avoid it. So you've got your 15-second warning is officially out there. Officially out there. Let's see. Larry says he said 2 between this year and the end of next year. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. And guys, it's time. The market's closed. We have we've closed it. It's done. It's over. Ah, love it, love it. All right. Ricardo says, all right, the U.S. won't have cuts until unemployment goes to 1.5, in my opinion, and also labor seems stressed. Yeah, and here's the funny thing: Trump wants cuts. If Trump had his way, they'd be cutting it pretty. I wouldn't say zero. I've heard him say cut it all the way down. But if Trump had his way, there would be cuts. But you know, I give Jerome Powell a lot of credit. He's standing up to Trump and saying, "Nope, I will cut when I see the data that supports a cut." Got to give him credit for that. Roku is in the house with a happy Wednesday, all. And we got Bleak in the house with a hey, all. All right. Tom says, dive, Air Canada, dive. I want a ticket on the next trip. Yes, I'm hoping. You know, Air Canada can take its time. Now, MC, who was in the last chat, was talking about she got some documents from Air Canada. I received them pretty much the day after that. They showed up in the mail. I got the same documents now. And all it was once again, it's all about that buyback. So Air Canada is between, I think they're about 3 months in now. But basically this year they're buying back 10% of their shares. So they're making an offer. It's probably not a bad offer. It's probably not I've seen the offer. Considering when it's towards the end of June that will close, you're probably going to get more money than what it might be priced at then. But anyway, that's what they're doing. They are buying back. So those shares that they buy back, those are just going to be, they're going to evaporate. They're going to disappear. So there will be a smaller number of outstanding shares, and that will actually pump up that price a little bit too. So it's gonna be interesting, but I am hoping they have. I'm hoping they have a horrible summer. I'd love to see them come back down because I did get out of that, and you guys will see that in the 0 to 100K challenge because that video drops on Friday. Although tomorrow, if you're a channel member, you can watch it. Larry says, "Okay, it's hard to get jobs, good jobs here in Austin. More tech layoffs. Cisco just did it last month. Oh boy, yeah, yeah." It's interesting. Now there's other places too. I imagine right now, if you are a unemployed meteorologist, it's probably a hard time too. Because I don't know if you guys have been listening, but as we're heading into hurricane season, NOAA has a lot less staff because they did lay off a bunch of people. Their new head, he didn't even know that there was such a thing as a hurricane season. So hold on tight if you're in the southern states for sure. Ricardo says, funny enough, the state of Virginia seems to be flush with money because they dished out a 1.5 one-time bonus for all state employees. Ooh, that's not bad. That would be a good time. It's a good time to be a state employee when that happens. Holy banana bread. And we got Mary in the house with a good afternoon. And guys, Mary is our official captain of the like button. So if you haven't hit that like button yet, now's the time, because while you guys are doing that, I'm going to have some coffee. Oh, that's so good. So good. I'm loving it. And it is hot. Even though, as I mentioned, I think the humididex was 35 when we started this. I'm still having my hot coffee. I will drink hot coffee on a hot day. I have no problem with that. Ricardo says, on top of the 3% raise we usually get. Oh, nice. Rory says, I can't trade for a bit, but I can invest. Looking at BMO ETFs to buy by Friday. Nice. Normally, I'm not a big fan of the banks when it comes to some of their products, not so much to the banks themselves, but when it comes to some of these ETFs, BMO, they've got a good team. They really do. And they have a lot of good products. And, and you guys can believe it when I say it because I'm not sponsored by BMO like some other folks are. But yeah, BMO, I do like. I do like their products overall. All right, and then I bought, of course, talking about the Friday close. Now we did have one super already, so we're basically 3 shy of a Friday show. All right, Paul. Let's see. Paul says, Candace, are you still in the SOLL ETF? Sold my USD version at 12.47 last month with a start of 9.98. Got back in with an average. Got back in on the Sol.U version for average of 12.15. That's not too bad. Yes, I still have it in the challenge. I have actually I added to it this month. So yeah, I'm liking it. I'm probably gonna just sit on it. I don't think I'm gonna get rid of it. It's good. It's good. Like that's my non-Bitcoin play. One thing I did do is, of course, I've been holding EBIT, and I love EBIT. I mean, I love that it's a great ETF, but I really kind of that HBTE that came out. So the what is that? The Horizon Bitcoin Leaders Enhanced Income. It really caught my eye. So I did sell out. I basically moved that EBIT position over to the HBTE. So I'm getting some growth and I'm getting some crazy dividends with it too. So anyway, I'm spoiling too much. I'm spoiling too much. I'm not going to say anything else about the 0 to 100K challenge. I'm going to keep myself quiet on it. I probably won't, but I'll try. Lisa is in the house with a hi, everyone. All right. Danielle says, most of my portfolio is in ETF, but I like to have a small portion in penny stocks just for fun and future growth. Do you have any good ones you like? I have a Charbone Hydrogen, Aduro, and Oroco. Interesting. I have a penny adjacent stock that I like. And I'll show you. I'll show you here. And I actually hold it in the 0 to 100K challenge. So it's penny adjacent because it's close. It's almost low enough to be a penny stock, but it's technically not a penny stock. But all right, let's see here. Whoops, I guess I need to come over here. All right. All right, here we go. So it's called a diversified dividend. So DIV. All right, so it's like $2.95. But I'm just going to pull them out for a while. They've been, they are up and down a little bit. But I look at this and I'm not too concerned about that for the simple reason that with these guys, it's all about that dividend. You're getting a nice 8.445% dividend. I like it. It's been very reliable, 2.1 cents a share. It's just not, it really has done me well. They hold a lot of really good copyright. So for example, Mr. Lube, they have the royalty for Mr. Lube, also Air Miles, although Air Miles kind of, I wouldn't count so much on Air Miles, but they've got some good ones. They do have some good ones for sure. All right. Larry, let's see, says 3% increase a year is nice. I love your live videos. Thank you, Candace. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, the live shows are fun because I never know what's going to happen. That's the beautiful thing. The regular videos, those are scripted. Although I will say, and if you're watching them, you might be able to tell every so often in the videos, I'm going off the cuff. Sometimes I just go on a little tiny tangent that pops up as I'm filming. So I'm okay with that. Paul says, remember when the Canadian Bitcoin ETFs came out? Then a month later, Bitcoin entered the bear market. Yes. Oh, yes. Bad timing for sure. But at the same time, If you had bought If you had bought at the bottom of the as you got down in that bear market, oh, some of the profits you could make. Well, heck, let's take a look. Let's actually take a look. We'll take a look at let's go with BTCC. There we go. So this is the purpose Bitcoin ETF. All right, I'm going to come back to 5 years. All right, and as you can see, so if you had bought in, and remember, guys, I'm always talking about when something releases, how it always goes up right away. In this case here, it went up, and you can see it did go down a little bit. It's hard. You may not be able to see it if you're on your phone because it is pretty small here. But it went up, and then it came back down, and then and then of course we we went into a bear market, and this is kind of like the bottom of the bear market type thing. But look at this. Imagine if you were buying down here when it was like $4.32. It's now worth $19.20. So yeah, that wasn't too shabby for sure. Definitely pretty awesome if you ask me. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Lisa says Aduro is on a tear. I've been holding for about 2 years. Yeah. And we've talked about Aduro. That's one that does what is it? Is it kind of a novel sort of, is it plastic? Is it plastic? Does it eat plastic? Something like that. I could be wrong. But here we are. Here's Aduro Clean. All right, and they're not even a penny stock anymore. Like, look at this. They're like worth, come on, they're like $10 right now. And let's see here. Yeah. See, novel chemical process to transform waste products, waste plastics. There we go. I got it. I even used the word novel. So I get bonus points. For that. Yeah, this is what they're doing, and this has been the gist of what I've said in the past. I love what they're doing. Oh, I think there's a lot of potential in what they're doing, and I hope they succeed. Now, when we've been talking about them, because let's take a look here. Heck, even 5 days ago, look at this. They were down at $8. Let's go back to about 3 months. So yeah, I called it penny. I think I called this one a penny adjacent, but yeah, they've been doing absolutely fantastic. Now, mind you, there could be whatever's driving the price right now. There's always that chance that we could get a bit of a pullback. So if you're looking at this, like if this is your first time seeing Aduro and you're thinking, what? This is what they've got a process to break down plastic. This is great. I would wait for the pullback to get in on this one, to be honest, at this stage, because this amount of growth, there's always usually a bit of a pullback. So kind of like what we were talking about with the ESP one. All right. Let's see. Rory says, by the way, on desktop, I followed you, Candace, but still doesn't work. Can't even edit the profile page yet. No, there's still a lot of work left on that desktop. And we're talking about this over here, guys. We're talking about Blossom. By the way, if you want a preview of the 0 to 100K challenge, Blossom is now currently up to date with the challenge. So you can see that we're sitting at 28 shares of Tcash and 65 shares of RMAX, all of that fun stuff. So yeah, it is up to date because I had to get it up to date because I have already, I'm ready to film in the morning. I'm going to film, then edit. It's up there. All right. Blossom desktop sorry. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Tom says, just wondering what you think of WCP Whitecap Resources as definitive tariffs play. The nice thing about WCP is that the sector that they're in, right now, Donald Trump has not wavered on the 10%, which is good. So that may not be a bad thing. So I always I do like, now one of the other things too, guys, if you look at WCP, their dividend is absolutely fantastic. Let's get over here. WCP, I'm going to pull them up. Whitecap Resources, and you'll see right down here, dividend 8.406% monthly. It's pretty darn good. Now they had this huge, like, I loved this. I was a huge fan. And even now, they've moved more of a sideways. But the fact that you're getting that dividend is, to me, makes them definitely worth it. So I do like them. I do. Are they a defensive play for tariffs? I think the whole sector is going to be fine. So I wouldn't technically, you could call energy sector defensive, but the problem is that if the geopolitics don't work the right way, that they can completely sort of disarm them as being a defensive anything. So I wouldn't call them a defensive play. I wouldn't. But I think they're a good play. I think they're a good play, and I think they'll be fine. Just once we get to that point that we finally get oil heading back up, because right now oil's sitting, it's been sitting, in the $60, 60, between 60 and 70 for a very long time. Will we get back to some people are probably thinking we'll never get back to $100 a barrel. We will. We absolutely will. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. With OPEC right now looking to increase production, that's not going to be super great. But one of the ways that we could certainly counteract that is if somebody, for example, maybe if the U.S. government decides to refill their strategic oil reserve, that, with cheap oil, that could be a good thing to help sort of take some of that off the market. And that would be healthy for the price. All right. Larry says Tesla down more on my TSDD average is 1957, now 2357. Interesting. Lisa says my average share price is $3.99 post reverse split. Let's hope it keeps the momentum up. Interesting. And Exborg says, let's see, if you had bought at the bottom, I play that game in my head every day. Yeah, it's one of these things that you have to realize when something's happening, right? Like, for example, if you're up here, you could say that's a bottom, right? Sure. I mean, we're talking a little one. But, as this is happening, you don't know that this is about to turn around again. What I like to do is I like to play the game where I use technical analysis. I get a general idea of where we have supports and resistances, because a lot of times if you've got a support, that's where it's going to turn around. A lot of times, not always. And that's one of the things I want to say. So when you're looking, for example, all right, whoa, here we go. All right, I'm just going to pull this over here. Going to give me a little bit more size. So when you've got a stock, and let's just, whoa, I don't want that. I want to draw. Here we go. When you get a stock, hello, come on. There we go. All right. So, you get a stock that's moving, it's slowly moving up, but you've got this whole pattern. So when you see things change, so for example, in this case here, every time I'm going to put it, every time we hit here and bounce, we hit here and bounce, we hit here and bounce, we hit here and bounce. So one of the things that you can do is you can take a line. All right, I guess that's not going to work. Let's try this again. Come on, give me a line. All right, I'll just freehand it. I'll freehand it. All right, I'll just change the color. We'll go with a green, not green. We'll go with a purple. One of the things that you can do is create like a line. Now, give me a second. Let's cheat a bit. We'll move the line, but you can sort of see here that you have a situation that when it hits here, this is where it's bouncing. Now, I'm going to make a second copy of that line, and we'll maybe drop it down like this. So you can sort of see in this case here, we kind of get a bit of a pattern happening. So we also, as you can see at the top, it's hitting this line, and this is a line of resistance. It changes direction. When it hits this bottom line is acting as a support. So that's kind of cool. So a lot of times when you've got this, when you chart it out, let's say here you are looking, it's falling. You're like, okay, where am I going to buy this? Well, if it hits here, that's a really good place to buy it, because there's a good chance that we might see this. Now, I say that it's not an always, because one of the things that does happen is when you have a line of support, and I'm going to draw a separate line here. Let's just draw a line of support, and I'm going to get let's get my stock here. We'll stick with red. Every time you hit and you bounce and you come down, you hit and you bounce, you hit and you bounce. Well, the thing is, obviously here you had 100% chance of it not breaking through because it didn't break through, right? So this is after the fact as you're building this up. And obviously it didn't break through there. So you could even say 100% in this case. So now that you've got your pattern, as it keeps hitting, well, maybe there's a 90% chance that it doesn't break through. But I didn't mean to break through that time, but we did. Here it might be, for example, it might be a 70% chance, and even if it doesn't break through, let's say it comes back and does this again a couple more times, by here, you might only have a 40% chance that that's going to hold. The more you keep testing this resistance, the support, and then bang, you get your breakthrough here because, it can't hold forever. And here's the beautiful thing. At the top side, it does the same thing. Like, for example, it might be 100% initially that this here holds. So this here is your resistance at the top. If you keep hitting it, maybe this time instead you go up instead of going down. Now, where that helps you guys is, I don't even worry so much about this, but when you've got this obvious, you got this obvious pattern, it gives you opportunities. It gives you opportunities to sort of say, okay, where am I going to buy? Now, this is short term, but if you start to look long term, and guys, let's bring up Air Canada. Air Canada. All right, here we go. Air Canada, and I'm going to we'll bring up their 10-year. Here we go. All right, now give me 1 second. Command Shift 4, because watch what we're about to do. Watch what we are about to do. We're going to grab it right here. All right, there we go. Now, let's go back here. Let's scroll down here. I'm going to upload. And let's see here. That goes to my desktop. We're going to grab this right here. Bang, boom. All right, here we go. All right. Now, let's go back to design. Sorry, actually tools. We'll go back to tools. All right, I'm going to drag this up here. All right, so here is Air Canada. So when we go back to this, let's grab, I'm going to grab, we're going to use purple. All right, so when we're looking at Air Canada, you can sort of see. So this here, right here, come on, let's get rid of that. This is their giant pandemic drop. So that's kind of that big thing. But when you take a look here, you can see we got this one little pattern here. I'm just going to draw it like this. All right, so we have this one little area where we're seeing that they're having trouble breaking that. This is an area that pushes them back. And when we look at the support, we can sort of see this whole line of support in here. So when I set up the Air Canada swing trade, I was basically looking, and I'm just going to go over, let's go over to the red again. I was basically doing that thing, right here. It didn't quite make it down. Sometimes it doesn't, but you can sort of see. All right, and we'll come up here. This is where we are now. I've been playing these two lines. So with my swing trading over this, I'm buying down here. I'm selling up here. Buy, sell, buy, sell. Same idea. Buy. Now, this one here, I sold. It was only halfway up. The reason I sold is that I didn't feel like this was a full going up. I was normally going to wait, not for the top itself. I was actually looking at about 21. So that's like, in there. So when you're playing these guys, I'll just put my line across. One of the things about playing this is that if you go at the top, so this here is like what, 20, we'll say 26. Well, yeah, you might get there, but you might not. So I like to play not at 26 and down here. Let's say this here is what, maybe 13 and a half or something, somewhere in that vicinity. So 1350, fantastic. But I'm not going to buy at 1350. So when you look at what I did is I set an upper limit and a lower limit. So basically my lower limit, 17, upper limit, 21. So I'm basically looking at a $4 spread, between where I buy and where I sell. Now, in this case, obviously, Air Canada did dismal. So the one I sold, I was somewhere in the vicinity of $14. So that's not too shabby. And I ended up selling almost 20. So I ended up with about a 6 spread. So I actually did better than what I had designed. So that came into my reasoning for why it was time to get out of this and to wait for the next cycle. So this has done fantastic. Now, mind you, at 21, if I had played the original game, at 21, I was going to just stick around. I was going to basically, I was going to put in limits, and maybe I'd get lucky and sell it. Maybe, heck, if things went great, maybe I could sell at 23. But in this case here, they had a really good earnings. It did push them up, and I think there's so much volatility in the market right now that they're not going to get that momentum to get to 26. And I mean, in fact, we can't see it here, but in fact, right now, if you look at them today. Today they were down a bit more, 1876 at the moment. They were up at, let me just pull up the 1 month. So you can sort of see they were up at up around 1950, almost 1960. So, they're down almost $1. So I saw this here as being a great opportunity. Grab those because, it did better than what I had designed it to do. So that's why I sold out of that position. And now it's actually interesting going into June, I've got a chunk of cash sitting in there as well because this all happened towards the end of the month. So there wasn't really any opportunities to buy anything good. But so now it's sitting there and I'll use that. I'll probably use most of it in June. But anyway, tangent. We went off on this big old tangent, but that's kind of the whole idea. All right. Let's get back to, all right. We got the Nightbot again. All right. Get Rich says, I have 50% of my portfolio in EQCL, 30% HYLD, 10% HHIS. All give me nice monthly paycheck and a moderate growth. Rest is 10% XRQT, and my RRSP is the only holding there for growth solely. Opinion. All right. Well, the EQCL also one of the, I guess, it looks to me like, yeah, I mean, you got a lot of income flying. Absolutely. Like HHIS, really good exposure to tech, of course. HYLD does give you exposure to tech, but it does give you more exposure as well to the rest of the US market. And Despite what's going on in the US, it's still the biggest market, and it does not hurt to have some good exposure to it. Um, EQCL, yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. You've got the leverage going on there. So, if your goal is income, then I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it if that's your goal. You're not going to get, of course, some of the big growth. And I think you've kind of sort of explained that there, in your statement. So I think, yeah, I think you're okay. And like I said, you're going to get some really good dividends. One of the things I like too is even with when we look at HYLD, we've seen what happens in a bear market with HYLD. They held up pretty well. They did cut their dividend a tiny bit during the last bear market, but that all came back. We're talking just a couple pennies. That all came back and more. So I'm liking that. I'm thinking that they'll be really strong on the other side of the next bear market. Provided, we're going to get it, but it's going to take a while to get here. We're not even close yet. Like even right now, we still have a lot of all-time highs that are up there. So, because when you take, well, let's just point out here right now, if we go to the TSX, for example, now I'm not going to drag all the way back, but right here, I'll tell you right now, this is the all-time high. So basically, we need to go down 20% from here. So we get a long way before we get into a bear market. But mind you, when a bear market starts, we can go from here. We can go down pretty darn quick. And I'll show you. Let me show you. Actually, you know what? Here's a better way to do it. If we go to, well, let's use VFV. We'll use the S&P 500 because this illustrates it pretty good. All right, and we'll go to our 10-year on here. All right, so this here is that last bear market right in here. So it began pretty much at the end of 2021. Interestingly enough, though, by November, you'll see this little niche right there. That was when tech went into. So tech actually went into the bear market first. So tech went in, followed by the S&P 500. But you can sort of see, like, right here, this here is, the end of the year here. So actually December 20th type thing. But, by March, so just a few months, we had these big drops, a little bit of a recovery and another big drop. But basically within 6 months, that entire, well, technically the entire bear market, there was a little bit of recovery, and then we got into a stronger recovery now. This here, this little hole here, it almost looks as bad as the pandemic. But this is Trump and his his stupid what is it, Liberation Day or whatever. Yep. God, what can I say? All right. Paul says up 8% in the last month, but there was one day during that last month it would have been up 18%. Ooh, that's not too bad. Jersky says, any thoughts on the cash ETF day? What day is the best day to buy on? All right, Jersky. So right now I use Tcash, but they're all pretty much the same. So hey, let's pull this up, and I'm gonna pull up. I want 1 month. So what you will see is it will build through the month, and then here is their ex-dividend day. So on their ex-dividend day, that's when you're going to get it the cheapest. Now, some months, like, you can get it right at 50. This month here, we were looking at like 50.01, so $50.01. But that's going to be your best day. And if we go further back, you can see we got this whole pattern over and over again. So the best day to buy into your cash ETF is, well, it's the ex-dividend day. So, for here, like I said, here was their ex-dividend day, was on the 29th. So that's what I will do. So for example, my June purchase, I will actually buy that on the 29th, but I don't include it in my May data. So I do buy it ahead of time just because I want that ex-dividend day. So that's what I do. And then what's beautiful about that is when you do start using it, you're always going to have some amount of profit through that month. Now, mind you, if you sell, like if you were to sell it here to buy something, you are losing. You're going to lose that dividend. You're going to lose that dividend. So it's kind of one of those things. But, it's going to happen because you're just, you're using this ETF to park your cash in. So it's at least making something. And in the case of this one, you've got a 4.136% yield. Not too shabby. It's basically 10 cents a share. It adds up. It adds up. All right, Brian. And let's go back to big again. Afternoon, everyone. Late again to the live stream. Damn, life getting in the way. I hit the like for Mary. Awesome, awesome. Let's see here. We're slowly getting up. Mario says, I do the same for TOU. So Torlamine and Canadian National Resources, as you do with Air Canada, buy low, sell high. Yeah, that's the thing. As long as you can, create that channel, and you work it and have contingencies because someday it will finally break out. Keep in mind, like with Air Canada, and we're talking about, let's just go back here. One of the differences is that with Air Canada, you remember how this here was caused, like when the pandemic caused this, a lot of this was share dilution too. They printed a whole bunch of extra shares to get money, basically to keep themselves afloat. They are now buying back some of those shares, 10%. And that will push them up. So that could, in the future, that could mean that this line, maybe it ends up moving up here. And maybe it ends up like in here later on after this year is over. So, we may have to adjust it. We may have to. Oh, sorry. It helps if I show. So yeah, what I was saying once again is this drop right here, that was pandemic and a lot of share dilution. So they printed shares, and if you print shares, it lowers the share price because your share price is simply your market cap divided by the number of outstanding shares. So if you make more of them, then you're splitting up that value between more fingers, more hands, more greedy investors. So now that they're going to buy back shares, that means that you'll have fewer outstanding shares. It will increase their value. So as I was sort of mentioning before, this little bit here, it might actually push this up a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see how it looks on the other side. And we got the Nightbot mentioning the supers. And oh boy, look at this. Right after that, we have Mary in with a super sticker. Mary is now our latest goat of the day. Latest goat. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. I need a coffee after that. Oh, so good. All right. But I did jump over Jonathan to get to Mary. Jonathan says, I'm late. Did I win? Jonathan, you're always a winner in my book. You're always a winner. All right. Get Rich says, that's great to know. Thanks, Candace. I started building my cash position since last month. No dividends reinvested for that. Expected bear to wake up. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Vic is in the house. Hello, Vic. Good to see you. 50 here, 24 likes. Hit it so Candace can take a sip. There we go. I just took a sip, though. I'll take another. Here we go. To the like button. And we'll bring it up big screen. To the like button. Will the big, beautiful tax bill tax dividends from USA and our RRSP? We don't know. That's the honest answer. The bill itself does not specifically say that it's going to take away any of that status in the RRSP. However, with that being said, it is gray enough that you could try to interpret it to do such. But right now, officially, the RRSP is still safe. for now. But with Donald Trump, things can change. They can change very, very fast, unfortunately. Let's see. What are your thoughts on OSK? I've been interested from the perspective of them replacing trucks and also replace mail trucks in the USA. I want to get in, but it's kind of volatile to see a good entry. Okay, let's look at OSK. Let's pull us over. All right, let's get back over here. All right, OSK. Sounds like a government agency. Anytime I hear things like this, actually, my first thing that went into my mind was OSI, which, if you guys remember, that was the government group on the $6 million man. I think it stood for Office of Scientific Investigation. I think that's what it stood for. But all right, OSI, or sorry, OSK, OSK. All right. So first of all, right down here. So, they're a big producer of access equipment, specialty vehicles, military trucks. So these things I like. I like what they do. Some light defense trucks. Now, anything with any kind of a connection to military is probably going to do okay over the next few years, because there is a bigger push on getting up the defense dollars. The U.S. I've heard at one point, I heard Donald Trump saying he'd like to get the U.S. Defense spending up to 5% of GDP. It's probably a big ask. I think right now it's just over 3%. So, but I think there's going to be definitely some interesting points here. Now, let's just pull back for a moment. All right, let's take a look. So this is their 3-year. We'll pull back even further. They're 5-year. So look at this. All right. I can see a little bit of a trend. I can see some supports. I can see some resistances, but you got to keep in mind the products that they're selling are going to become more popular. That does change things. So that means that even if we have, like, in an area like this, so obviously if they fall back down below, if they fall under 90, to me, that's a really good buy for this company, under $90. Right now at 102, it's kind of a middle ground, because I think their big resistances are going to be up around 111. So if I would even go like maybe 108 as my top spot. If I was looking to create a swing trade in here, I'd be looking at somewhere between 107, 108, and I would be looking to buy probably under 100 at the bare minimum. 95 would be better, obviously. That's kind of where I would be going with this company. Now, let's take a look at their back end. I'm just kind of curious to see what we got going on back here. Look at this. They don't have a lot of debt. 35% debt to equity ratio. Return on equity, not bad, 15.24%. So yeah, I think they're probably a safe bet. The beautiful thing with a company like this one is that if you get in and it goes a little bit lower and you're like, I missed a better point, just hold on. It will get back. It will get back there. You'll be fine. So, that is not too shabby. Mary says, is cash better than a GIC to park cash for a year? Well, it depends on what you're getting. What if your GIC is offering you a rate higher than that, and you don't have access, you don't need access to it for a year, well, then obviously the GIC at that point. But if you want that flexibility of being able to pull it out whenever you want, and if your GICs, and I don't know what the GIC rate is right now for a 1-year GIC. At one point, when the rates were high, it was up around, it was just over 5. So I have a feeling that it might be lower than 4 now. Maybe. I don't know. Let's find. Well, you know what? Maybe. Let's just try something here. I'm going to go to EQ Bank. Let's see, rates. We'll see if we can get our information here. Let's see, personal account, savings account. All right, we're looking for GICs. All right. Oh, look at this. Non-registered year, 3.55%. So yeah, you will make more in like something like Tcash than you would with a GIC right now. So we're looking at 3.55, and I imagine everybody else is going to be pretty darn close. If you go with a 5-year, you can get a 3.8. So yeah, I would say cash. I would say something like Tcash. Like, look, there's a whole bunch of different ones. There's like cash, there's Tcash, there's like PSA. So compare the rates, of course, to all of those. And of course, if anything changes, then, definitely you may want to adjust on the fly. But right now, I do like T-Cash. I like it quite a bit. Ricardo says, does Canada offer any short-term CDs? Because in the US, it's what I did in the first part of the year. I parked 3K in a 3-month CD yielding 4.25%. Well, that's not too shabby. That's a good question. I know we got our GICs, and you can. Let me just see here. Now, I think the lowest, at least for here, is a 1-year term. So I don't know if we have anything shorter in terms of CDs, but if anybody knows, let me know. Ricardo says, just make sure to get a call protected CD in case rates drop during the holding time. Let's see. Jersky says, thanks. I sold my TD position and I don't know what to put the money in now. Well, that's the beautiful thing, right? I know, sometimes if you just don't know what to put it in and you're like, well, I'm going to wait for some opportunities to come along. It doesn't hurt. You can throw it in like something like T-Cash. For example, in one of my other accounts, so outside of the 0 to 100K, I had a small chunk from something I had sold, and I was just like, well, right now I'm taking it because it was a pretty good profit on it, but right now I've got nowhere to put it that I want to, so I just parked it because, well, one, it was close to the ex-dividend day of T-Cash, so even if I find something, halfway into the month, I'll get a small little return because, I'll sell it at a slightly higher price. So yeah, it's not a bad way to go. Let's see. Reverend Ramirez, good to see you. Up 7% on FTG since you did a dive on it maybe 2 weeks ago. Danky. Yes. So FTG, let's pull it up. All right. Here we go. So this here, Fear and Technology Group Corporation. So this was in one of my list videos. And I like it, but look at this. Not too shabby. That's just 5 days. And I did it. I can't remember the exact date that one was out, but it wasn't that long ago. But since I've done that dive, it's easily gone up more than $1. So not too shabby. I like it. I like it a lot. Brian says, let's see. Oshkosh is Canada. Let's see. I think that might be in. Oshkosh in Canada is partnered with Carter's as a baby clothing store. It's a totally different company for sure. Interesting. I've not really looked at Oshkosh before, but why not? Rory says, with no interest rate cut, I'm getting 3.15% next week on the renew. By the way, I dozed off again. Oh no. And you see, I was telling you, Rory, that they were going to probably hold it steady this time around. So, yes, what can I say? Nightbot again. So yeah, we are 2 away. If you guys want a Friday show, 2 supers, 2 gifted subs, whatever, doesn't matter. We'll get that done. And then we'll have a Friday show. I actually love the Friday shows. It's kind of like the gateway to the weekend. Cowboy says, afternoon. Oh, hello, Cowboy. How are you today? So yeah, I was actually really interesting. I was watching some interviews from some of the premiers after their meeting with Carney on Monday. Danielle Smith, she actually said that she was kind of she was getting out of Carney things that she's never heard from a prime minister before. Some of the talk and some of the swagger. I'm really, 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 really hoping, like I said, any level of support I have towards the Liberals at this stage in the game is very contingent. Very contingent. I'm not saying I voted for them. I'm just saying I'm in this position where, to me, whoever wins any election or whatever, they just need to bring They need to deliver on their promises. Otherwise, I'm going to give them a rough time. And I'm ready to give Carney a rough time if he does not come through. So far, he's talked the talk. He's taken the first steps in the walk. But I want to see that walk the walk. And he's been setting up. Canada Day is his big day. He's going to get a lot of the stuff done. I'm going to hold him to it. For sure. All right. Vic says, ooh, let's see. Wealthsimple promo to get iPhone or get iPhone AirPods. I like the AirPods. Well, I mean, heck, here's some right now. So it's not a bad thing. The only thing I say is, as you know, if you're going to use them anyway, you got the money, you've been thinking about moving it to Wealthsimple, now's the time to do it. Absolutely. Why not take advantage? But if you're, I wouldn't move all your money to Wealthsimple just to get the AirPods, if you're not interested or you don't like their service. And I will tell you something else, guys. So when you are not happy with your broker and you want to try a new one, so whether it be Wealthsimple, let's use Wealthsimple. You don't have to go all or nothing, right? You can always open up a Wealthsimple account and move a little bit of money over, a little bit, to play with in Wealthsimple, just to see if you like it, see if you're happy with the interface, see if you're happy with, just with all of its features. And then if you are, then you could do your big transfer. You don't have to do it right away. And keep in mind too, if you're going to do that, use like a promo code. We got one. Actually, I got one. I got it. Let me do this. There we go. Wealthsimple. Come on, Nightbot, give us the promo code. Use a promo code, and mine or one of your friends. Just use somebody's promo code, because you'll get some free money. You'll get $25 free. Whoever's code you use, they get $25 free. It's a pretty good deal. And go in and test it out. And if you're not happy, then, at least then you haven't moved everything over. You can then, you can pull your money out and you're $25 richer. So you can't lose. Let's see. Vic says, you can transfer 25,000, but up to 200,000 to get the biggest promo. Well, yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense. Brian says, I only knew about Oshkosh because I did a structural steel renovation in one of their stores. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Where do you see the crypto market right now? On the monitor right over here. I look at that. No, I understand what you're saying. I'm still bullish. I do think that Bitcoin is not done. I think Bitcoin is going to go to 120K. Now, that's been my prediction. Some folks think it's going to go even higher. I think there's a chance, but I'm going to hold firm on the 120 for now, and hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see it go a little bit higher. But the beautiful thing is, if we get that, when we do turn and go into a crypto winter, I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as some of the past crypto winners. I think we're going to be fine. We might, for the longest time, I've been thinking that the next crypto winter might go down to like 50K at the bottom. But even that is starting to feel like that could be too far. Quite literally, maybe 60K might be the bottom at this stage. All right, let's see. BC is popping a hole in the oil balloon after the meeting. They are saying no more pipelines in BC. And that could be an issue. That could definitely be an issue, at least going that direction. But keep in mind, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be on the table. So, I want to see my west-east pipeline. That's what I want to see. I want to see west-east. I don't want it to go up to Churchill. I don't want it to go to the north. I would much, I was even saying if Quebec says no, like Quebec does not let it go through, there's nothing wrong with taking it to Kingston. I think build a port in Kingston. You could certainly do it in Kingston. That's my thought. And Kingston Kingston to me, it's a good little city. I think Kingston could be a lot bigger than it is now. So, um, not too shabby. All right. Rory says, wasn't there a possible vote of non-confidence in the House of Commons today, or was that about the throne speech? Um, I don't think it was the throne speech is a vote of non-confidence. It is one of those things that you could do that on, but I haven't heard yet how that vote went. I think it's going to be fine. Like right now, like just take the NDP. There's only 7 of them, but they are absolutely broke. They can't afford an election. They're not going to. They will support the government in any votes of non-confidence, probably for, I would say, for at least a year, if not longer. So I think at this point there really isn't even a threat towards it. And I know that I know the Conservatives. Pierre Poilievre had said that his party was going to vote against it, but I think the Liberals right now, I think they're in a good spot when it comes to where they're at. All right. Let's see. Vic says for all Canadian, it's for all Candace does. I was like, for all Canadians. I really misread that. For all Candace does, we ought to use her Wealthsimple referral code. Yeah, absolutely. I certainly appreciate it. It's always nice. Like honestly, I don't flip a lot of referral codes because I don't pump them. I don't come in here and say, oh my God, you got to be on Wealthsimple. If you're not on Wealthsimple, you're crazy. Get over there now. I'm not going to do that. You guys know the code is there. I could certainly mention it more often, but if you guys, if you're going to use it, absolutely. You got, I certainly am super, super appreciative when you do use it for sure. All right. And we got Paul in here with another super, reaffirming his goatness. Awesome, Paul. Paul's doing fantastic. Love Paul. So yeah, we're basically one away. We're one away from a Friday show. So one of you guys are gonna snag it. I have confidence in you guys. Brian says, I had been with TD for everything, started a Wealthsimple and a Questrade accounts to start putting my OAS checks in, all dividend stocks, and buy as little as one stock with my dividends. Love no fees. Yeah, no fees is the way to go. And so, of course, Wealthsimple kind of started it all. And Questrade only just recently got on the bandwagon. National Bank, if you're looking for a bigger bank, National Bank also has no fees as well. There's a couple of others. Desjardins, if you're in Quebec. I don't know if Desjardins goes much. I know Desjardins does do Ottawa. But yeah, Desjardins is another option as well, for sure. Cowboy says, thought about Questrade, but they charge for buying stocks. Not anymore. They've gone to zero commission, apparently. Now, I tried to sign up with Questrade, and I just run into issues. And I think I don't know what it is, but I think I noticed a couple of times that when I've tried and it gets stalled, I think it's because they try to call me once and they don't leave a message. So it's like, if you don't leave a message on my phone, I'm probably, not going to answer because I tend to not, answer my phone very often. So yeah, I think that's kind of the thing. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with Questrade, but I can't say it's because of their service because I haven't had a chance to experience it. All right, Rory says, I just left Questrade. Oh, there we go. Cowboy for Canadian. Let's see. It's in TFSA for both with me. Nice. Let's see. Questrade doesn't have Interact e-transfers for withdrawals, but I think Wealthsimple does. Yeah, Wealthsimple will do an e-transfer to you. Pretty, that to me, I like that. I like that a lot for sure. National Bank, same thing, e-transfer. So, Questrade, get with the program for sure. Michael says, You were saying the other day something about having to wait 30 days on Wealthsimple after you sold Air Canada. Could you explain? I have Wealthsimple and don't know what you mean. Okay. So when you are when you're trading inside of a TFSA, so this is specific to a TFSA, with swing trading. So once I sell something, if I buy it back within 30 days, so that's kind of a window that the CRA looks at. If I buy it back within 30 days, it will. It doesn't mean that I'm instantly going to get hit by the CRA and say, "Hey, you're day trading in your TFSA," but it is one of the criteria that they look at when they're trying to catch people who are day trading in their TFSA. And if they look at you and sort of say, okay, you know what, you've been day trading for the last little while in your TFSA, what they end up doing is they revoke your tax-free status during that window. So if they, let's say, for example, they said you were day trading in your TFSA in 2024. Let's just say they said that whole year you were day trading. Well, they will take away your tax-free status in that for that year. Not just for the ones you were trading, but for everything. So that is one of those things that you kind of have to be a little careful of. Now, if you've done it once or twice, you're probably fine. They're not going to, they're really not going to be looking at you. They're, but I always look at it this way. I don't like to do anything that even focuses them. Even if they look at that one-time mistake, I don't want them looking at all because they're the CRA. Now, on the bright side, the CRA apparently they have let go some people, so they have less. Their staff levels are lower, so you might have a better chance of getting away with it now than before. But that's basically what I'm talking about. So I just know that 30-day window. So Personally, I wait 31 days. I wait 31 days before I'll buy back something I sold in the TFSA. In every other account, fine. Your RRSP, no worries. Your personal account, no worries. Although, if you do it a lot in your personal account, they could look at it and say you are day trading, and we're going to look at that as business income instead of capital gains. So that's the danger when you are doing fast trading. But in your RRSP, the sky's the limit. You can do anything you want because 100% everything in that you make is getting 100% taxed. So it's all 100% income. So they don't care. They don't care if you're day trading. They're getting taxes on every bit of it. So, when you do pull it out. So they're okay with it there. Roku says, let's see, choose your Wealthsimple promo wisely and read all the terms, especially if you sign up for a second promo while engaged in a previous one. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You want to read the fine print because in some cases with a promo, it might say, move in X amount of dollars and keep it there for X amount of days. So you might want to know, and, are you going to give you the iPod right away or your iPad or your phone? Or do you have to wait till the end of the terms? I don't know. I've never used one of their terms, but keep that in mind. Brian says, let's see, that was to buy it back in a TFSA account, I believe. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Paul says, does Wealthsimple still not offer preferred shares? Questrade does offer preferred shares like STRK and STRF. Good question. I don't know if they do or not. If anybody has a Wealthsimple near you, just see if you can get STRK. That way there, and let us all know. Paul says Wealthsimple promos have a time period. If you leave early, they will withhold the promo cost. Okay, so they'll give you the phone, but then they'll take the money for the phone. Yikes. Do you set a rule for yourself when it's time to take profits, or is that more of a feeling? I find this a harder decision than the opposite. So no, I mean, going back, let's go back here. So when we were looking here at this whole idea, generally for me, like when I set up this trade, for example, I was looking at buying under 17, selling over 21. So that was my 4 window. So my goal going into this was to make 4. So $4 a share was my goal. Now, with what happened here, because I ended up getting it at 14 and I sold it at 19 something. So, I made, well, I was actually, it was almost, I almost made $6 a share. So I beat that. That was for me one of the deciding factors that kind of made it. So for the most part, yes, I like to have a rule. So if I have, let's say this is my zone, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a buy and a sell zone. Sort of like this. So even though this is the channel that stock is in, I'm going to buy if it's below this point. I'm going to sell if it's above this point. And this way here, a lot of times, even though I think that's the zone, even though I think that's my, in this case here, my resistance, well, a lot of times it will come up and it may not go all the way. And then it will come back down, and sometimes it might just go a little way. So in a case like that, I'm not precluding myself, because I know some people who usually they're fairly new, they catch on quickly. If they set their sell right at that line, oh boy, you got a couple of issues. I'm going to draw the line. If you make your sell at that line, well, guess what? So let's say you have 5,000 shares and you're planning, there we go. You have 5,000 shares and you went and set it at that top line. Well, maybe it hits that top line, but what does it do when it hits that top line? It bounces. So your 5,000, you may, maybe some of your order executes and maybe you sell 100. So yeah, you got top dollar for 100. In the meantime, 4,900 are going back down for that down trip. So that's one of the reasons that if you have it set in here lower, then you've got a better chance of selling that whole 5,000 and making a lot of profits. You'll make more because you're selling all of it at at whatever your profit, whatever zone. And generally, if you want to know how big should that be, it comes down to your own. It comes down to, well, sometimes it comes down to the asset. Sometimes it comes down to what I will typically do. Is that, all right, just give me a second here. If this is my zone right here, I will typically sort of say that, if I break it into fours, so this is my buy zone, my sell zone, and this is just a hold zone. We'll just put a hold in there. That's the way I look at it. I normally will break it, and will this be an even? Will these all be even size? They might be. It depends on the supports. It depends also on if something is really volatile and it is moving quite a bit and it is going up a lot, I might shrink. These the end zones a little bit. But for the most part, I like to have a healthy size in here to save me from only those partial sells at the top, because I want to maximize what I'm getting. And if I go up here and I only sell 100 and I have to come back down and then I have to go up again to sell, hopefully sell the rest of it, well, I've lost an entire cycle. Whereas if I sold it here, it's all gone and I can buy it all back in here, and I will have done, so for me in this situation, let's say 5,000 was what I was playing with. Well, after the 2 cycles, I've done 10,000 shares, at a profit. So instead of, let's say the profit up here was, let's say it was a $3 profit, and here it was a $2 profit. Well, two profits at 10,000, that's 20,000. Now, mind you, we're playing with some bigger numbers. Most of my trades are not big like this, but in this case, you made 20,000. Whereas if it came up this way, and you only sold 100 at 3, that's 300. Then when you came back up with your 4,900, maybe you got the whole thing. But In that case there, that's like, what is that? 14,700 roughly. So with this one, because, you tried to sell a greedy, when all said and done, you've only got about 15,000 that you've made instead of the 20,000. So just something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind. All right. Well, I'm going to jump ahead here for a quick little second. Zozo Trader in the house, and Zozo Trader is now our latest GOAT. Gotta love it. And that means, guys, we got a Friday show. We'll be back here to do it all over again. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Rory says, let's see, Questrade charges now for using certain chart screens, like $12 a month. Holy banana bread. Yeah, that I don't like. I do not like that. They're making money off of your money, so there's no need for them to be charging. I can understand, yeah, maybe if you create some kind of a deluxe, kind of like Wealthsimple has Pro, but if you're going to do something like that, you should at least have a price point where if you're, like with Wealthsimple, if you have $100,000 in investments, you get Pro for free. Questrade would need to do at very least, they should do something like that. And I don't know anything about this, so I can't tell you. Maybe they already do. I just don't know. Verena, it says, let's see. Is that the same when you sell a stock or ETF and buy another one in a TFSA, or just for the same? It's just for the same. So one of the things I mentioned is if you want to, so let's say, for example, you want to take profits. Like right now, all the banks are doing good. So let's say you wanted to sell your BNS, so your Scotiabank. All right, cool. You got your profits. But what you could then do is, you can't buy the BNS back for 30 days, but nothing stopping you from grabbing something like BMO. If you thought, oh, BMO is ready for recovery, let's grab BMO. So you can go sideways. You can make sideways moves like that. So that works. That's one way to sort of get around it. And in some cases, like if you do a lot of trading with these, maybe you'll have a third stock. Like maybe you'll also have Royal Bank in there, and you're just sort of transferring between them, taking profits. And that way there you're taking profits. And then, if this crashes the next day, you're buying this one, taking profits. If it crashes, and buying this one. So, there's just different ways that you can get around it. But you just can't go BNS to BNS. Cowboy says, retired people check their stock daily. Does that constitute day trading? No, it does not. No, if you're day trading, it's like making frequent trades. That's what it boils down to. So for example, like a day trader, if they were playing BNS, but BNS is too expensive, I think, for a day trader, because you're not going to pull it, but you'd be making BNS, and you'd be doing this all over, repeat. So you might, as a day trader, you might make 40 trades, maybe depending on how volatile the market is. You might make 40 trades in a day, or maybe 15. But that's kind of what you're doing when you're day trading. Swing trading, you got a little bit more of a thing. Like normally with swing trading, you've got a bigger window, though. A lot of times swing traders will respond in the same day. Like if you buy it in the morning and it goes up, you might sell it in the afternoon type thing, but it's still all considered business. It's all considered business income. Cowboy says, Wealthsimple transfer I did was 1%. It's over 2 years and must maintain minimum balance, and they include TFSA and non-registered accounts, plus they deposit into Wealthsimple checking account. Okay, cool. All right. Tom says, it sounds like all cash ETFs pay under 3%. Time to move to the Meridian promo of 4.8. It depends. T-Cash is just over 4. So, but that's the thing. You got to kind of look at them and, make sure that hopefully so far T-Cash seems to be good. So, I did at one point, I was in cash and I moved to T-Cash because they have that higher percentage. Brian says, I only put 2 OAS checks in Questrade. I found them to be looking for money, like you said. Yeah, there we go. All right. Rory says, Brian, I still use TD and a TFSA web broker account, had it for 7 years. Holy cow. All right, guys, we're getting close. We're getting very close to the end. If you got your last minute questions, get them on in. Get them on in. Oh my God, we've been at this for an hour and a half. Holy banana bread. These ones are normally, quite literally, these ones normally go about an hour to an hour and 15, but you guys have been hitting me with the questions. So nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I do want to put up that, let me see. Wealthsimple told me that T-Cash was in the mid 2%. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, like, well, here, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up here. You know, unless something is going on here that I'm not, all right, TCSH, here we go. All right, so yeah, like right now we're showing 4.136. Now that is with TMX. So I might have to break out the math and start doing it myself just to verify. But right now, yeah, because they're showing, let me just take a look here. They're showing a 10-cent dividend. So as far as I know, but I'll double check on all of these, because, you know, if all of our cash ETFs start coming down in their percentage, then it does. I mean, yeah, it means that there might be other options out there, but for now, that's what I'm getting with T-Cash, 4.136%. All right, let's see. My thumbs up didn't work. All right, what's your opinion on FN? Do you think it's a decent buy? All right, FN. Oh boy. So here we go. FN, First National Corporation. And let's pull it up here. So yeah, I mean, once again, when you start looking at, and this really comes down to what your goals are. Now, trading wise, I can see a line of resistance coming up in here. I can see it going back up to $40. But, you know, it might go higher, but I can definitely see it getting to 40. So, you know, you got that going for you. Now, you do have a good dividend on it. So if you're looking to hold it for the dividend, you're fantastic. Now, also keep in mind too, when you look at the overall pattern, you'll notice here, this is a high. This is a higher high, a little bit lower, but higher. Typically, they've been having higher highs as well, which is a healthy thing. So I think that's going to go up. So right now, you know, this could be kind of an aberration. It looks almost like an aberration when you look at this, but I could see the next high being up around $42 in that area. I always, and this is the thing, when I do the math, when I do get, you know, you will get that occasional spike that goes way, way up. In this case, nope, I don't like that. All right, let's see here. Verena says, for someone who wants to invest, would you suggest learning it so you can do it yourself, or invest in managed accounts? I am learning, but still new. Honestly, if you're new and you're still learning, I would recommend that you look at, you initially look at ETFs. So those are, you know, those are managed, but, you know, you're still at least managing your account per se. And I wouldn't go with crazy ETFs either. I would look at passive ETFs. So something like VFV is a very passive ETF. Basically, it means it just replicates a specific index. Those ones have very low fees. So that way you're getting that growth. You're developing your money while you're taking the, you know, while you're learning as you know, and then when you do feel comfortable and you're like, okay, you know, I got a good feeling for some of these stocks. Then you can always bring some in. You don't have to bring a lot in. You don't have to be all or nothing. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a core ETF portfolio, and then maybe have just a couple of stocks that you like to come in to try to, you know, that, you know, maybe it's a company you like, or maybe it's just a company that's doing really, really well. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing like that at all. All right. 529 cash, 2.09%. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to run the math. I'll have to run the math on that, Tom, because and here, let me take a look at one more thing. I don't know if they have it here, but let's go to one. All right, I'm going to pull up Yahoo Finance as well. All right, TCSH. There we go. All right, here's what I like. All right. Just give me a second here. Let's see if they... Now, where it's an ETF, they may not have what I'm looking for. I was looking for... yeah, they're not showing it, are they? Well, here they are. Yeah, they right here. So yeah, Yahoo Finance is showing 4.38 on here as well. So there's two sources. Two sources are saying it's over 4. Yeah. So yeah, I think it is. I don't want to badmouth Wealthsimple, but from time to time I've seen some numbers come off of Wealthsimple that I'm like, those numbers don't seem right. So right now, if Yahoo and TMX, if they're both agreeing, I'm usually pretty solid on it. I'm pretty solid on it if they're both agreeing. If I see a difference, and sometimes, like we've seen this before on the channel, TMX will absolutely sometimes butcher some of the smaller US stocks because, well, they're the US stuff is kind of the side for them. They're owned by, they own the TSX. So, but yeah, if the two of them are agreeing, I tend to feel a lot better about it. Let's see, anything is better than BMO Investor Line. I've never had the displeasure of experiencing that one. All right, Brian is mentioning, my daughter is just starting out investing at 39. She did small managed funds in Wealthsimple and is now starting to learn as much as she can about the stock market. Yeah, exactly. And quite literally, if I was brand new to investing today and I was just starting, I absolutely would go with ETFs initially until I'm ready, till I feel comfortable. If I don't feel comfortable, there's nothing wrong with staying in ETFs either. One of the things, and you'll notice if you've been around for a while, I do a lot more ETF content now than I've ever done because ETFs have been getting more and more popular for sure. So, nothing wrong with that at all. Danielle, I love this. See, look, I started with VFV and I think it's a really good advice for a new investor. Then you look at VDY. Yeah, exactly. Start with some ETFs, or heck, if you're like, I only want one ETF, then you can look at something like XEQT. There's a Vanguard one as well, VEQT. That's your all equity and you're getting exposure. You're getting very good diversification with it. There is a video on the channel where I looked at, I think it came out like maybe a month and a half ago, where it was just, if I could only have a few ETFs, which ones would I go with? And VFV and XEQT are both in that list, if I remember correctly. And I think VDY might have been as well. All right. Tom says, let's see, it was from their site. I contacted Wealthsimple as my dividends were extremely low. Oh, interesting. I wonder if they're, hopefully they're not lowballing you on that, because that is weird. Like, you should be getting 10 cents a share from your Tcash. All right. Rory says, I actually own a paper copy of The Intelligent Investor by B. Graham. It's good to have. Yeah, no, that is a good book as well. I don't have a paper version. I think I have it on Kindle. Isaac says, I'm late. Yes, we're almost at the end, Isaac. But you can always catch it on the replay. With bank, is there management fee subtracted from the dividend? So this is not just bank, but any ETF. When you look at that yield that they're offering you, The management fees have already been removed from the equation, so they're already gone. They're taken care of before they come up with what they're going to pay out in that dividend. So you never will have a situation where the ETF is going to reach out to you afterwards and say, okay, now we're going to take, now you need to pay us this much because of those fees. No, it's always done before the numbers. So when they say, if they say, let's say I'm not going to use bank because I can't remember their exact yield, but let's say an ETF says we'll pay you a 10% yield. That's already been taken out. So maybe, maybe it would have been 10.01 or something, and they took that 0.1 as the fees, and then put on their site, or told you we're going to give you 10%. So it's already calculated. So that would be, your management fee, any of the extra stuff that goes into the management expense ratio, or if it has a trading expense ratio, that would all get included in there as well. And let's see, Brian says, I showed her my stocks, and that Wealthsimple did, and showed her how to research on her own. Told her I am more for income. She should look for stocks for 20 plus years. Yeah, exactly. Age is a big determining. Like if you've got a long runway, you really don't need to be into the income stocks. You'll actually make more money by looking at dividend growth, or I call them total return stocks. They will give you the bigger hit for your buck for sure. Let's see, from the TCSH site. Now, are they quoting 2%? And that's really interesting. There might be something strange going on here. Tom, leave this with me. I'll take a look, because based on that 10 cents, when you do the math, and mentally when I'm doing the math, it seems to jive with with what both Yahoo and TMX are saying. So yeah, leave that one with me. I will find out. I'll find out what the heck is going on. Let's see. And Paul is saying T-Cash works out to 2.39%. Even on TD's webpage, says the first 4 months of 2025 was 1.13%. That's odd. This is odd. All right. I got to look into this now. All right. Got to look into it. All right. Let's see here. Brian says, I'm the same. I'm starting to buy a lot more covered call ETFs for dividends. Let's see. I started to put some money on TD Cash Management ETF. Let's see. Do you have the name of that video with the ETFs you could invest in if starting new? Yeah, I can get it. Just give me a second here. It's not that deep in here. Let's see here. Let's see. Go for gold. Air Canada, Trump proof. Canadian ETFs to survive. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Bum. All right. Let's see here. All right. Bitcoin, Can Utility, 5 ETFs for monthly income. 5 diversified dividend growth. Yeah, here it is. I found it. Just give me a second. I'm going to get a shareable link. I'm going to drop it in here. Here we go. There we go. All right. That is the one. All right. So now I got some homework. I got to figure out what the heck's going on with T-Cash. Why are all the sites saying one thing and their site saying something else? So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to actually look at the data. I'm going to look at the data and see exactly what's been happening here, because it's a little odd. Normally I don't see this. If I see a discrepancy, it's usually not with multiple sites. So we'll figure that out. All right. Cowboy says, I go dividends mostly monthly. Awesome. All right, guys. Holy banana bread. I can't believe this is almost as long as one of our Sunday shows, but we will be back again on Friday. I can't wait. Until then, guys, have a good day. And if you're in the part of the country where I am, where it's super hot, stay cool. Stay cool for sure. We'll see you guys Friday.